Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like my video, put all your comments and suggestions in the section below, and check out all my other content once you're done watching this video. And in today's video, we're going to be mostly discussing the early voting, mainly in the states of North Carolina and Virginia, as you guys saw from the thumbnail. And we're going to begin with the state of Virginia. We're going to dive right into it. And I want you guys to understand that Virginia is a state that Biden had won by 10 points in 2020. So this is a very left trending state originally. 2016, Clinton only won it by 5. 2020, Biden was able to double on Clinton's margin. And now we kind of thought of as Virginia as this state that is going to kind of gone for Republicans. One of those states that we don't see changing too much in its course, like the state of Colorado, which has continued to trend to the left. But this is not really true in the state of Virginia. And I just want to show polls first before we get into numbers. And in those polls, we see here Harris only leads by 4.8%. Keep in mind the polls in 2020 had this race at basically Biden plus 10 and over. So the polls were accurate. They weren't too off. And what this means is if these polls are accurate like they were back then we're going to see the margins completely turn on their head and flip to what they were back in 2016. And we do have a lot of data to support this in the state of Virginia. Let's see this first. We have the early voting. This is 2020 versus today. And today we have Democrats at 53.7, Republicans at 39.4. And it may seem like that Republicans are down a lot, which they are usually in most states. Republicans usually do not vote early as much as Democrats. They usually vote a lot more in person. But we see here the percentages. Democrats are down 1.3% from 2020, which is not too bad. But we see here Republicans up 7.7%. And this is huge. They are up a considerable margin. This right here would erase around a 9-point difference between them. This would bring them closer by around 9 points, which is very, very interesting. And something else to support this in the state of Virginia, we see here the early voting data per district. So this is very important. And we see here the districts that are more Republican are voting much more early, which means the more Republican districts are more enthusiastic about voting. As we can see here, we see in the first district, it's R plus 16, and we have 24,000 early votes. The fifth district, which is R plus 21, we have 21,000 votes. R plus 33, 21,000 votes. R plus 50, 18,000. And then we have our first very strong Democrat county, which is at 17,000. And then once again over here, these are some more strong Dem counties that are much, much lower. So this turnout is very bad for Democrats, given the fact that they usually would be performing a lot better in these early numbers. And we see here, not good signs at all for Democrats that the most enthusiastic districts are the ones that are very heavily Republican. And we have some more competitive districts that are much more down. So that's something to see here for Democrats to really, really panic on. We can see here once again, the statewide turnout down 12%. We should expect the turnout in Virginia to be down no matter what, because we're not going to get 2020 level of turnout. The strong Harris counties are down 22.5%. That is horrible. And in the strong Trump counties are up 2.5%. So turnout among Republicans and strong Trump counties are actually up in this election from 2020. So all of this loss is coming mainly from the Democratic counties, the strong Democratic counties. Obviously, this doesn't include competitive counties, but these counties alone make up a majority of the state's population. And given that Democrats could be down 22 in Harris counties and in these strong Trump counties up 2.5, what does this exactly mean? This doesn't really mean that Democrats are going to lose the state of Virginia, to say that, but it does mean the state is going to be cut in half, I believe, to this margin, maybe even closer, depending on how these numbers pan out. We are around 39 days away from election day. So this right here is not that good for Democrats at all. Once again, over here, we can see the blue counties cratering while Trump counties are surging. And this is some good data coming out here. Once again, we see here one versus the first week of 2020, strong Trump counties up 23%. Weak Trump counties up 20. We have competitive counties up 3. And then we have, once again, those Harris counties. We have strong Harris counties and weak Harris counties both down, minus 19 and minus 9%. So this right here is not just in one data point. We see here in all the data points released to the public, and we all could go check this out for ourselves, is just posted on Twitter for all of us to see instead of having to go to those websites. But these numbers are definitely taken from those websites that we can all check out. And they do show a similar theme, that the enthusiasm is with the Republicans and with Trump counties, which is spelling a really bad sign for Democrats in the state, to say the least. And it's the same thing in North Carolina. I mean, very similar trends here. We can see here in this graphic right here that the Democratic turnout and the Democratic points have been going down, as we can see here between 2020 and 2022, and then we have now 2024. So we see here that between September 7th and September 27th, Republicans have been gaining once again. They have been gaining 2.8% in that time, Democrats losing another 3.2%. And speaking of just now, in the past 2 weeks, let's just remember, in the past 4 years, the Republicans have been gaining in North Carolina. This is just how much they've gained in the past 20 days. But since the 2020 election, we have some other data points that I've covered in other videos where Democrats are down a lot in the requests. And then if we check the polls of the state of North Carolina, they also show something else. Some other data that is very similar to what we're seeing, where Trump has a consistent lead. He does lead by 1.2%, which is very good for his campaign, given that the state of North Carolina always overestimates Democrats. He has taken a bigger lead over time. It was a very, very close race about a week, 2 weeks ago, but now Trump has grown his lead. He leads by 1.2%. Back in 2020, the polls did underestimate him by around a point. And then we see in 2016 here, they also underestimated him by a larger margin, by around 3 points. So either way, we can give Harris the benefit of the doubt and say that Trump wins the state by 2.2. Either way, those numbers are really showing us that Trump is going to gain in the state of North Carolina, but even more in the state of Virginia. So what is this going to look like on a map? And what happens if the state of Virginia is competitive? So let me just fill this map real quick on my prediction that I made last video that you guys can also check out. And these are the states that I am pretty sure that these candidates are going to win. Virginia is going to stay a blank, but I'm going to fill out all these other states. And then these states for Trump that we're sure that he is going to win, filling out all the states in the South. And then we come to Florida and Maine second. And, you know, this could end up being the map for us. We have the 7 most competitive states, and then we have the state of Virginia. And what happens if the state of Virginia is included in this race is if Trump wins the state of Virginia, he doesn't even need to win any Rust Belt state. He does not need to win any Rust Belt state at all. In fact, he doesn't even need to win Arizona. If Trump is able to flip the state of Virginia by a narrow margin, and also hold all these other states by narrow margins, only the states of Georgia and Nevada and North Carolina, he does not need to win any of the Rust Belt states. And that's something that the Harris campaign should be worried about a little bit. I still do not think that Virginia is going to go for Donald Trump. But in that scenario, that Democrats need to start defending Virginia again. And we see Glenn Youngkin campaigning consistently for Trump in that state. And here's the thing with Virginia. If Virginia flips Republican, or if Virginia is within 5, North Carolina will not flip to Democrats. These states are very similar. And if Virginia is in that lean column, as many of us predicted will be, the state of North Carolina and the state of Georgia will not flip Democrat. For those states to flip Democrat, we need to see Virginia be probably around D plus 10, similar like last time, D plus 11 for both these states to flip to Democrats. These 3 states have very similar dynamics, and they've been trending in similar ways. We see in 2020, both of them moved left. Of course, Virginia was a lot more than North Carolina, which also implies that maybe Virginia would need to shift even more for North Carolina to flip. But either way, we see this map here. If Virginia is close and if Trump flips it, then he is already locked in North Carolina and Georgia. And that's why the state of Virginia, we're going to get that very early. It closes very early. So we're going to know pretty early how this is going to pan out in the southeastern corner of the U.S. And if Trump wins it, once again, he does not even need Arizona, and he does not need any of these 3 Rust Belt states. But once again, I do think she will win the state of Virginia. And if she does, once again, Donald Trump has to search for another state. And that state would be the state of Pennsylvania. And it's the state that he has been targeting consistently. I also think he has the state of Arizona in the bag, as well as the state of Wisconsin. And Michigan is also going to be very close. But the state of Pennsylvania is another state that he has really been looking at. And these polls are as tight as you can get, apart from this Bloomberg outlier. Take that Bloomberg outlier out. Every other poll has either a tie or a narrow Trump lead or a narrow Harris lead. And that's why he's been putting so much support and so much effort into the state of Pennsylvania. Today he did campaign in Michigan, which is a state that he really does not need to win. If Harris wins the state of Michigan, he still has 297 to 241. Even if he loses Pennsylvania, he can go with the state of Wisconsin. But I think at this point, the state of Wisconsin is a little less favorable than the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Wisconsin also is very close. Keep in mind, the state of Wisconsin usually has very, very bad polling misses in favor of Democrats. But either way, our polling map and our election map is going to start looking very interesting if we continue to see polls in Virginia that do have this race very close. As we can see, we did cover this poll by University of Mary Washington. Harris plus only 2 back in 2020, if we remember. They had Biden up by over 10. I remember at least it was 11. And at some point, I think some of these pollsters had Biden up by upwards of 18 points. So that's not a good sign for them at all. And we are definitely continuing to monitor the state of Virginia. But that's going to be all for today's video. I will come out with a lot more early data once we get more from the Twitter page and once we get more from these official sites, Target Smart. I will come out with some more early data in the state of Pennsylvania, obviously Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia once we start to get more, as well as the state of Arizona, because we will be getting some data out of Arizona as well. Some of these states do not register by party, so it's hard to really monitor them. Florida I could also cover, but it will not be as close. We did get some early dating out of there that shows Republicans obviously performing strong, as many of us expected, but also the state of Arizona should start coming in for us, and we should start analyzing some of that data, as well as the state of Nevada. The states of Wisconsin and Michigan do not really register by party, so it will be a lot harder to show those, but I will try to find as much as I could. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like my video, put all your comments down in the section below, and I will check you guys out in the next one.